A difficult one. It's got a lot of layers to it. We're still trying to figure out what happened. But it is extremely tragic and shocking all at once. I will tell you this. A young child was murdered. That child was found in a freezer. This is all taking place out in Nevada. Alyssa Bethencourt, reporter with our great affiliate KTNV in Las Vegas, has some of the details for us tonight.
Neighbors that we spoke with say they had no idea that something so sinister was going on right next door. One woman, Alberta Amezcua, she says she knew the little boy found dead inside of that freezer very well, and her heart has been broken into pieces since she learned the news.
He was so cute, so, just outgoing and happy. I found the tape outside and my heart dropped.
Now, police believe that little boy's body had been in the freezer since early December. They first learned of the crime after the boy's older sister handed a note over to her teacher. The note, which was written by their mother, said she was being held against her will and she wasn't sure if her son was still alive because she hadn't seen him since December. The teacher called police, who immediately went to the home and saw the mother leaving with her boyfriend. Police stopped the car and brought both of them in for questioning, and that's when things took a tragic turn. Now, the man accused of doing this currently facing an open murder charge. Police are still in the beginning stages of their investigation. They're asking anybody with information to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 702-385-5555. Reporting, I'm Alyssa Bethencourt.
How does this happen? Why does this happen? Those are questions that are probably difficult to answer because you can't get inside the minds of someone that would do this. But we're going to get some more information right now from the homicide lieutenant from the Las Vegas Metro Police. Lieutenant Ray Spencer spoke previously. Let's listen.
Clark County School District Police received a report that a child who is in elementary school went to school today with a note from her mother. That note indicated that the mom was being held against her will at a house directly behind me. She also stated that she did not know the whereabouts of her preschool-aged child. She believed that the child could possibly be deceased. Upon receiving that note, school police then contacted Metro. At that point, we were advised and began an investigation. Patrol officers and detectives set up surveillance on the house that's located directly behind me, and about 10 o'clock this morning, they observed a male leaving the residence with a female. Patrol officers stopped the vehicle and detained the male, who is a Hispanic male in his late 30s. The female inside the car is the mother of the child who was at the school. That mother was interviewed, and she stated that she had not seen her child alive since December 11th. During the course of that interview, she described that she had undergone abuse by her boyfriend, who she lived with, and had been inquiring about the whereabouts of her child and believed that the child may possibly be deceased. She stated that she was not allowed to leave the house, and she was not able to go into the garage of the residence. After getting that information, homicide detectives were notified, and at that point, we assumed charge of the investigation. Once we obtained a search warrant about 2 hours ago, we entered the house and discovered the remains of a preschool-aged child inside of a freezer inside the garage of the house directly behind me.
Is the suspect the father of either of the children?
The suspect is not the father of either of the two children. He's the he's the boyfriend of the mother.
So many questions tonight, and I don't know if we ever get answers to them on how this happens, but let's bring in our guests tonight. Joining me in Salt Lake City, Utah, private investigator Rob Joseph. In Chicago, Illinois, private investigator Erica Morse. And in Los Angeles, California, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert witness, and columnist, Dr. Carol Lieberman. Welcome to all of you. Dr. Lieberman, let me start with you, because the first thing that strikes everyone about this story is the mom. She does give the note to the child who's going back and forth to school. But then when she's interviewed, she's concerned that she hasn't seen her younger child in 2 months. Explain to us how it's possible that you could be in a situation and being controlled by a man so much that you would not know where your child is and not act earlier. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just trying to understand tonight what's going on.
Well, clearly this is a man, her boyfriend, who swooped in, actually, after her husband died and isolated her from her family. And he had a history of domestic violence. And, you know, she said that he tied her up and he took away her phone and, you know, wouldn't let her leave the house. And even they did find handcuffs in the car. But, and so, yes, it seems most likely that he was the one who killed the son. But, and it's interesting because men who commit domestic violence, the most vulnerable times for the women are when they're pregnant or if they have a male son, because the boyfriend, the man, feels that the other male in the house is a competitor. But, you know, there really is something more to this story. How could a mother, somehow she found a way to give her daughter the note, but she said she didn't see her son since December 11th. So, I mean, you know, you have to wonder, wasn't there some other opportunity before now that she could have escaped or found her son or something? There is definitely more to it. Plus, she gave different stories about what she thought happened to the son, because she talked about how her boyfriend told her that he had that it was an accident, that the son was dead, but it was an accident. He had vomit on him in bed. I mean, there are various stories. So I think the mother definitely needs to be investigated.
Erica Morris, what questions, I mean, I have so many, but what questions do you have looking at what happened to this poor child?
The first question I have is whether or not the living daughter was used as a weapon to keep mom quiet and to keep mom in her place for the last 2 months. Let's not forget that there was another child in this house, and mom was clearly terrified enough to send a note through her daughter to a mandated reporter. She chose a very specific person to send that to, knowing that help would be called. And I firmly believe, having worked a lot of DV situations, that the other child was probably used as a weapon. I've done this once, or this has happened once already. Imagine what could happen again. So, you know, women, when they are isolated, when they are, especially with their children, I'm not even looking at this as a Stockholm Syndrome situation at this point. I'm looking at this as a survival situation. There are survival guides for women in this situation. And it says, remain low key, cooperate, do not challenge your abductor, do not challenge your abuser. Wait for the perfect opportunity to get out alive. And if there are other children, wait for that opportune moment. So I am very cautious here because I work with DV victims every day, and I refuse to re-victimize a victim. Clearly, there has been egregious abuse here, and clearly one child is deceased and another was probably in extreme danger.
Rob Joseph, your thoughts tonight? What questions do you have about this case, this tragedy, this murder?
Yeah, I mean, these types of cases are just so baffling, especially when you're dealing with a woman that is in an abusive relationship, and she would have known fairly rarely. I think she would have known pretty soon into the relationship what type of relationship she was in. And I, as a police officer, you know, find this type of situation when I was a police officer just so too common, where women are in an abusive relationship, you get called on a domestic violence case, and when you move to arrest the husband, you know, the wife will jump on your back or throw a chair at you or interfere because now she's fearful that he's going to jail. You know, she called because she feared for her life, or maybe the neighbors called, and now he's going to jail, and I don't know that they have the confidence that the system works all the time. but they do know that person's going to get out of jail eventually, and they're going to retaliate against them. And so I know there is a degree of fear. The questions I'd be looking at, though, are, you know, with your son missing for 2 months and your daughter going to school every day, you know, was there an opportunity before this time to alert somebody to what was going on? And we have no idea. I mean, you try to get into the mind of the victim here, and she is a victim. You know, how much she knew, how much she was fearful of the retaliation against the other daughter, or the other child, and, you know, what he could do to her. I know it's a real thing. I've seen it as a police officer. I deal with it as a private investigator when people call me and the police aren't acting on real concerns that, you know, women have on domestic violence, and they call a private investigator to really dig into who this person is, to watch, to try to catch them in some other type of domestic violence situation, so that you can alert the police that this is credible. There is a lot of questions, just like you had mentioned in the opening. There are a lot of questions, there are a lot of concerns, and there needs to be a very thorough investigation to determine what role, if any, the mother might have had in this, and whether or not he was using that against her. We just don't know. And so really you have to come into these situations believing the victim, but having your eyes wide open, looking at all the evidence and evaluating it, examining everything, and to determine, you know, if there is some responsibility there for her, as well as the estranged boyfriend.
Speaking of the evidence, I've got another photo to show everyone. This was in the backyard of this home. Let's take a look. It's about 8 feet deep. This hole, it looks like it's concrete. What is going on here? What is going on in this home? Carol Lieberman, forensic psychiatrist. I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, what's the end game? What was this all about? Who was going to be buried in there, or was it for something else? What is going on here, Carol?
Yes, it looks a lot bigger than for just a little 4-year-old boy who was still in the freezer. So yes, was he going to kill the mother and kill the daughter because he didn't want witnesses? He didn't want them going to the police afterwards? Quite possibly. You know, he has a public defender, and the public defender is asking for a competency hearing, hinting that maybe the man has some psychological problems that would not allow him to be able to aid in his own defense and to know, understand the proceedings against him. But, you know, clearly, because he did have this prior domestic violence incident for which he sort of beat up this woman, and he left, and then he came back and he called 911 from her phone, and then he left. So they didn't know where he was, and then he happened to have been stopped. That was in 2018, and then 2019 he was stopped by a cop for almost running into pedestrians, and they looked him up. And they saw that he had this warrant for domestic violence, and that's when he went to a class for impulse control, an 8-hour class for impulse control. And, you know, that always, I mean, it's better than nothing, but obviously it didn't work. And really, people with this serious, this serious anger problem, it all starts really, domestic violence, men who commit domestic violence start with having been raised by a mother who abandoned them, at least emotionally, and that they develop rage towards women and they take it out on them. So, you know, he may well have even deeper problems than that, but unfortunately, the punishment that he got, the 8 hours plus community service, plus a fine, plus he was going to get 90 days in jail, but then they suspended that sentence and he didn't get it.
We will continue to follow this story as more information comes out through investigators in Nevada, but incredibly shocking, but ultimately tragic for that young child.